Hello, welcome everybody. My name's Avtar Matharu. I'm course director of the MSc in Green Chemistry and Sustainable Industrial Technology. We have a fabulous session this afternoon, and it's all about COP26, but from 27 of our MSc students. So we have 27 agents of change who each in turn are going to talk about why they chose to study green chemistry at University of York, but also what does COP26 mean to them, and what's the one thing that they would like to change for a better planet today for our future generation. So we're in for a really interesting hour and a half, and we're going to start immediately, and I'm going to go to our first speaker, and that's Luke Thompson. Luke, over to you.
Hello, so as Avtar said, I'm Luke Thompson, and I'm part of the Green Chemistry at York University. The big reason for why I chose this course was, well, to be honest, from a really young age, I just completely fell in love with chemistry. I think it's the inner kid inside of me that saw a loud explosion as a child, and I was like, yes, I love that, and I was drawn towards that. I think even in my A-level open day, there was a experiment with hydrogen, and people that don't know hydrogen gas, when it's compressed, it goes bang very, very quickly, especially if ignited like we did. And that really drew me towards the subject. And ever since then, I've just been following chemistry. And to be honest, I've been focused around hydrogen. And that kind of leads me on to my next point of why COP26 is such a big deal for myself personally. It's because we've got so many key speakers at COP26 that are surrounded in the energy field. And alternative energies for me is something that I'm looking to go into for my PhD and my further studies, and then potentially even to a career. And there's so many key speakers right now at COP26. And they are just going full detail about why we need to swap over from our fossil fuel feedstocks as of current, not only because of climate change, but just because of the demand increases and in hard to reach areas where sometimes we can't have the opportunity to suddenly just ship over a tanker full of oil. We're gonna have to think of other options around the place. And so a big one for me right now is solar energy. And like I mentioned before, hydrogen gas, they're really big on my list. One thing personally, which I'm trying to do to make a difference to the world right now and sort of make my existence less impactful is currently, I strongly believe in, if there's an opportunity for me to walk somewhere, I will always take that option. So my cohort, which you're about to meet in a second, they've met me on several occasions where I've just been soaked through because of the northern downpours, which we somewhat experience up here. And yeah, so I always just walk. And to this day, actually, since I've moved to York, I have not taken the bus, which is something I'm very proud of, or taken any sort of transport. The buses are better, admittedly, but yeah, I haven't taken any sort of transport. I've always walked everywhere or cycled. So that's one thing which I'm trying to do. So yeah, thank you very much.
Luke, thank you very much. Chemistry with a bang. That's really interesting with respect to green chemistry, but also, yeah, northern wet climate. And, you know, we experience a lot of wet weather, and whether that's climate change related, again, that's part of the discussion. Fabulous start, Luke. Thank you. And we're now going to move to Abir, please.
Thank you, Avtar. Hello, my name is Abir Shairi. I am from the Sultanate of Oman. I am working as a process engineer in Arab Petroleum Oman since 2017. The reason why I selected to study green chemistry and sustainable industrial technologies at the University of York is that I would like to learn more about the new chemistry and how to reduce the cost of any process, how to reduce the waste, and in case if we generate waste, how to manage it and treat it. As well as I would like to learn more about how to design a process in a way that will not be harmful to the environment. For COP26, Earth is our planet, and we all are responsible about it. And we know that it is in crisis, so we all need to do something. We need to start to use green energy. That's why I selected my project for this year is to produce hydrogen from the hydrocarbons. And we all know that the hydrogen is the green future of the energy. As well as we need to secure the food supply for the next generation and reduce the waste. From my side, I started to apply the 3 R's rule, which is reduce, reuse, recycle in everything. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Abir, thank you very much. Absolutely. Earth is our planet. and we need to protect the one planet that we have. Thank you. And now moving on to Victoria.
Hi, so my name's Victoria Baird and I'm from Oxford. So my undergraduate degree gave me a really great broad understanding of chemistry, but I was looking for a master's that focused in on my main interests and passions. And this is why I applied to the Green Chemistry and Sustainable Industry Technologies course here at York. In order for net zero to be achieved by 2050, there needs to be a global movement to reduce greenhouse gases and find new, more sustainable ways of living. And I believe that this master's course will allow me to play a key role in that movement. The fact that there's a large focus on the research project excited me, as it's the dissertation that will allow us all to experience scientific professional surroundings and will allow us to develop and improve important skills. My ultimate goal is to work in the chemical industry with a particular focus on sustainability for a better world. And I believe that this course will offer potential employers a candidate with broader knowledge of the importance and relevance of green chemistry and sustainability as we are all heading towards net zero. COP26 is important to me because we are getting nearer and nearer every day to the point where it's too late to ensure a livable world for future generations. The daunting costs and tasks for limiting emissions is falling on a few generations, most of who are living in developing countries. And I believe that events like COP26 are the best forum for there to be a real change and to help these countries. COP26 is also drawing lots of media coverage in and around what every individual can do to make a difference in our fight against climate change. I think that this media coverage is hopefully targeting people who have not previously thought that they themselves can make a difference. Without every person working towards net zero, we will not be able to achieve it. To play my part in mitigating climate change, I try to use my bike as much as possible rather than driving my car. Although in the scheme of things, this only has a small impact, if everyone makes changes like this, I think it can make a real difference.
Victoria, thank you very much. Absolutely. Small changes can make a big, big difference. And yep, sustainability for a better world. And time is running out. So thank you for your thoughts on that. Now moving over to Matthew Cullen.
Thank you, Avtar. My name is Matthew Cullen, and I have two hometowns. One here is Formby in the UK and Johnson City, Tennessee in the US. I chose this course in part because I felt an obligation to learn about green chemistry. It's a topic that my undergraduate degree didn't touch. And the more I heard and the more I read about green chemistry, the more I realized it's something that every chemist should learn. Chemistry plays a massive role in our daily lives. And as we try and adapt our lives to be more sustainable, it is the job of every chemist to make sure that chemistry can adapt with us. We shouldn't make a distinction between green chemistry and organic chemistry and analytical chemistry. We should be trying to make organic chemistry and analytical chemistry green. I think that every chemist should learn what we are learning on this course, so then they can then take the lessons of green chemistry into their chosen fields. I chose to do this course for that reason, so I can make whatever chemistry I do in the future as green as possible. Reading about COP26 over the last week and a half has only reinforced this belief. I think that some people, maybe not inside the chemical community, were expecting COP to be this silver bullet moment where the countries of the world suddenly wake up and take drastic action, but that hasn't been the case at all. More than 40 countries agreed to stop burning coal by the 2040s, but 4 of the biggest burners of coal, China, India, Australia, and my home country, the US, didn't sign the deal. More than 100 countries signed a deal to slash methane emissions, but the world's biggest methane emitters, China, India, and Russia, didn't join in. And as a side note, it surprised me when I found out who had the biggest delegation at COP26. I assumed it would be the UK or even the US, but it's fossil fuel lobbyists. So to me, COP has been a reminder as to why I chose to do green chemistry. Climate change isn't something that we solve while we sit on the sidelines watching. Big governments and big companies aren't going to do it by themselves. It has to be a collective effort from everyone, and that is what I hope to contribute to after I finish this course. My small action to prevent climate change has been to really try to focus on reducing my energy usage, whether that's turning lights off when not in use, or taking the stairs instead of the elevator, or doing laundry on cold cycles instead of hot. It's a small thing that I've been trying to incorporate into my daily routine in the hopes that it will last long term. Thank you very much.
Matthew, thank you very much. Lovely to hear about a personal obligation. And we're still a long, long way from that silver bullet moment. And say many, many nations, need to make drastic changes now and not sort of avoid those hard decisions. Thank you. Over to Megan Elliott.
Hi, my name is Megan Elliott, and I also have two hometowns in the US and New Jersey, and then York in the UK. I joined this Green Chemistry Masters as I'm really passionate about the environment and finding ways to make chemistry more sustainable. I did an undergraduate degree in chemistry, and it was clear how environmental impact was not at the forefront of the degree, but I believe it's important to train this next generation of chemists to think about the impact of their chemistry on the environment and not just what they get out of it. This master's teaches about the bigger picture and how we cannot just look at like one major industry as a polluter, but how chemists across the board need to change their ways and how they think. It's more important now than ever that we find ways to make our practices as green and sustainable as possible in order to not deplete the planet's natural resources any further. There is a limit to how many natural resources the planet has, such as crude oil, so it's important that we find other resources to replace this before it runs out. COP26 is important to me as it shows that our country's leaders and leaders across the globe are actually taking climate change seriously and are setting hard goals to achieve rather than abstract goals as they have in the past. In addition, it's important to me as climate change cannot be stopped with only one country. So having leaders across the globe setting their goals together will hopefully lead to some real change that can actually help stop climate change. It's also clear that we need to speed up our goals as the effects of climate change are becoming more and more prevalent across the world, with natural disasters becoming more commonplace. Hopefully COP26 will make leaders and people see that drastic action is needed to ensure the future of the planet. Some ways that I try to be more sustainable is I'm a vegetarian, as meat is a major polluter. And while not everyone can be a vegetarian, you could try to cut down your meat intake, maybe like meatless Mondays or something, because meat is a huge contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. And like other people on this course, I walk a lot or I try and take the bus, and I avoid driving my car wherever possible.
Megan, thank you very much. Absolutely good to note that the importance of alternative resources to fossil fuels and that collective responsibility. Thank you, Megan. Moving over to Akira.
Hello, my name is Akira. I'm originally from Belgium, but I've moved to England since I was like 4 years old to Cleethorpes. I chose green chemistry at York because specifically it was accredited by the RSC, which I couldn't find in other green and like renewable courses around England. And specifically green chemistry, I think is where the future of chemistry is going to be. Renewable sources and making the most of what we have currently and using it to like chemical blocks and using it again and again is something I'm really interested in. During the course, looking at alternate ways of what industry is doing and making it greener was really something that opened my eyes. What COP26 means to me is that we all share the earth equally, and something that we should do is make use of that resource and share it equally, because there's parts of the world where that aren't as developed, and we should look at them and just make sure we all have the same wealth as each other. I think it's a common goal that we share the planet, so we should all share the desire to save it as well. The one thing that I'm doing is commuting, like Luke said earlier. Me and him used to walk rigorously from town centre to university every day, and that's how I believe I'm reducing my carbon footprint. Thank you very much.
Akira, thank you very much. I think our master's programme is going to have some of the fittest students by the end of the year with all the walking, which is wonderful news. Good to hear this concept of using it again and again. I think that's really important. Sharing of resources, sharing of wealth, but also the desire to save the planet. So moving next, our next speaker, and that is Glyn Houghton. Glyn, over to you.
Hello, so I'm Glyn. I'm from Lancaster in the UK. I chose this course because I was really excited when Avtar was telling me about this course while I do my undergrad here, and particularly about all the work that you do on food waste. As a big lover of food, I was very surprised to find out the amount of food waste generated in the UK every year, which was in 2018 about 9.5 million tonnes. I realised that this was such a large potential for making use out of it, like extracting useful chemicals and getting them from food waste instead of from oil. So I'm really excited to be doing a project on this at York, looking at blackcurrant pomace and trying to find developing a biorefinery for that. I think COP26 is a really important moment, and it is a time for change, and the change is required now. I believe there's quite a lot of willingness in a lot of countries for change, but not quite all the countries. There's been a lot of talk recently, but not a lot of action. So like the deforestation deal announced at the start of COP26, like it's very similar to one in 2014, and that hasn't really done much. So I think it's time now that places and countries really do put actions and not just talk. As part of what I'm trying to do to be more sustainable is I try and walk and cycle everywhere, as most people are on this course. So that's what I'm trying to do, is my little bit. Thank you very much.
Glyn, thank you very much. Absolutely, there's time for change, and we've got to change the dynamics from talking to actually doing, and it's time for action. So thank you for your thoughts on that. I'd like to invite Kai Hua now.
Hello everyone, Kai Hua, I'm from China, so I will use Chinese to introduce why I chose this major. 大家好，我叫江海华，我来自中国，然后我的本科专业是化学工程与工艺。我之所以选择绿色化学这个专业，是因为我在本科学习期间接触到了很多关于工艺流程模拟的一些反应，还有一些具体的实习和操作。在这些实习过程当中，我看到过很多大量的废料产生，包括一些水污染，还有一些废气的产生。所以说对于我来说，读研的时候选择一个如何去选择让自己更加就是能够在专业方面减少污染的，怎么说，就是说如果是如何减少从源头上减少污染，把工艺流程进行一个优化，或者说减少原料的使用，或者说提高原料的利用率，对于我来说是相当重要。所以说我选择了绿色化学机器工业化这个专业。当然在我的家乡也有一个比较知名的企业叫做万华化学，它是一个做类似于皮革的东西起家的，所以说它在我们当时也产生了相当大的污染。在我的小时候，有很多不好的印象，就是说我们那里的水质相对来说比较差，然后冬天的时候，万华化学厂它产生的废气，因为云层太厚，它无法发散出去，所以说对于我们当地百姓来说，就是说会造成呼吸上有一定的困难。所以说我在读研期间选择绿色化学，所以我认为选择绿色化学这个专业是很好的，可以帮助我将来在未来的某一天能够从源头上解决化学污染这个问题。That's all. Thank you.
Who I could sort of see the passion in you, and I could hear the passion as well. Would you just mind giving us a short translation in English, just a few sound bites of what you've just said? Kai, who would just like to just translate a bit of what you've said in English?
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I just said why I chose chemistry, green chemistry, because my undergraduate major is chemical engineering. In my past 4 years, I saw many pollutions because I think at nowadays chemical engineering don't have green product way. So I chose this majors to I don't know how to say to make my measure to a high level to reduce pollution from my undergraduate major. So I chose green chemistry. And I also talk about my hometown the factory. It produce many pollution in my hometown. So I try to use my knowledge to change the pollution in my hometown. That's all. Thank you. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Kahua. Thanks for the translation as well. Absolutely, it's pollution when it's visible.
Yeah.
We can't miss it, and I'm so pleased that as part of being on this course, you will return something back to your own hometown as well. Thank you. Moving on now to Canfiron.
Hi. Hi. Hello. Okay. My name is Kampirom Lebrungchai from Thailand. Actually, I got accepted from many universities, but I chose this course because I want to broaden my visions. Because in my workplace, I saw a lot that we want only the results. Isn't we not concerned much about the approach? So why we might do something wrong and it's not safe for the environment at all. The reason that I think this can broaden my visions because when we think about the real industry, we think about the if we want to build something that is sustainable, it means that you must cover all of social, economic, and environment context. It's very hard to compromise, but I think I can find some opportunity or find some of solid idea from this course to adapt it in my workplace because my workplace and my work is related to the analyze to food as well, but is the end of the process. It's not the beginning. So this can provide me a lot of knowledge about how can I use the green way to produce something that's maybe I can realize some ways of foods to do something great and maybe greener. And COP26 in my point of view is a stage that everyone gather to communicate their knowledge because you can see that we can solve the problem with only discipline. We want to acquire more or use more like a multi-discipline to solve the problem because this world is very complex. Problem is very complex, so we can manage with only few. So this can be a state that many professionals talk and try to guide the human being or the mankind in this world in the correct way. And the thing that I like to change, maybe if matched to my country, is maybe in terms of pollutant. So we can reduce the pollutants that maybe we can try to not use much or use if it's necessary or it's need only that. And maybe we can try approach to think more about how can we use that make more efficiency and effective than old way. Thank you.
Canfiron, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Consider waste as a resource, which is really, really important. And it's an interesting idea of yours about sort of governments having that discipline to solve the problem. And the problem is that common interest and the common approach to do the right thing. And absolutely, you know, we should prevent pollution happening right at the outset. So almost at the design stage, we should design out pollution. So thank you very much, Canfiron. Next over to Hao Hua.
Yeah, okay. Oh, thank you, Avtar. My name is Hao Hua, and my home country is China. This year is a very special year. On the one hand, the epidemic situation was rapidly made people deeply realized the difficulty of controlling infectious diseases and the value of healthy living. On the other hand, many places in the world was encountered unprecedented extreme weather disasters, and the impact of global climate change on human health is become more and more real urgent. That's why I chose this course. I think it's fantastic and important. It's serious in threatening everyone's health, and I think we should take actions as soon as possible to avoid cascading health crisis in the future. I try my best to choose green transportation modes like such as walking, bus, and so on. Reducing carbon emissions by control room temperature start from myself and contribute toward climate change. And in my opinion, what young people can do is to practice, create, and speak, cooperate more and compare less. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you for really interesting insights. The concept of healthy living, weather and disasters that are happening. And I think it's really, really important that green chemistry provides us with healthy, clean living and affordable living for everybody. So thank you for your insights. Moving on to Yi Jiang, over to you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Yi Jiang, and I always want to use Chinese. Wait a moment. Sorry. 我叫刘一江，我来自中国。我选择绿色化学的原因在于，我始终坚信科学的发展不应以对自然环境造成破坏为前提。我们在享受科学发展所带来的生活质量的改善外，更应该尊重与敬畏自然。目前中国处于发展期，但它仍然是发展中国家。面对人民生活水平需要迫切的提升的同时，工厂、企业以及建筑拔地而起。而这也对环境造成了严重的污染，因此，发展与环保是中国目前需要迫切解决的两个问题。尤其近年来，我们中国身边就已经发现了环境污染的现象，沙尘暴、雾霾的增加。我的家乡在辽宁大连，是一个美丽的沿海城市，但近几年来，石油泄漏导致海水不再清澈，尾气的排放导致空气不再清新。环境的问题使大连不再四季分明，极端天气不断的增多。我们能做的并非是去改变一些很大的化学工艺流程。我认为绿色化学其实就在我们身边，很多人可以从身边去做起。你出门时是否记得关灯？出行时是否会选择公共交通？你是否在有意的、刻意的减少塑料制品的使用？以及我们在实验室中是否真的将废液分类，以及是否对试剂减少了浪费？好，谢谢大家。Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yi Jiang. Yi Jiang's also been very kind in chat. He's put a translation of what he's said. And I think it's really quite profound that Yi Jiang says that he chose green chemistry because he's always believed that science should not be developed on the premise of destroying nature. And I think that's really a powerful statement. Thank you for that. We should not only enjoy the improvement of life, quality of life brought, just reading this down, sorry, brought by the development of science and technology, but also respect and revere nature. At present, China is in the stage of development and remains a developing country, facing the urgent need to improve people's living standards. Factories, buildings, and enterprises are springing up, but it is also polluting the environment. The contradiction between development and environmental protection has become an urgent problem for China. In recent years, environmental deterioration has occurred frequently in China, such as sandstorms and haze weather. My hometown is Dalian, a beautiful city surrounded by the sea on 3 sides, but oil spills no longer make the oceans clear. Exhaust emissions make the air no longer fresh. Environmental degradation has led to an increase in extreme weather. I don't think green chemistry is out of, and I've lost the translation there, but I think, Yi Jiang, what you're saying is really, really profound, and thank you for that. If possible, just whilst you're still on screen, okay, can you just tell us what is the one thing that you are changing? So what lifestyle change have you made?
Yes, I haven't translated, but I think maybe everyone can do the green chemistry. Not only we only can change some chemical process, such as do you turn off the lights when you go out, whether to travel by bus, shop for less plastic. They are all we can do the things to green, make the environment more green. Yeah.
What is it that you are doing?
Yes, sometimes I go out the door, I always turn off the lights. And I really go to school on work.
Good, thank you. And it's really important. It's, sometimes these small changes can make a big difference. So even something as simple as just switching the light off when you leave a room makes a difference. Thank you, Yi Jiang. Yes. Over to Zihan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zihan Liu, and my hometown is China. The reason for choosing the course of green chemistry and sustainability industrial process for me is through the undergraduate research on chemical products of the production process. I learned that multiple link in material industry is likely to cause harm to environment and human health. And the topic was important part of what we do was analyze, predict, and assess the environmental impact. So I want to learn more knowledge of green chemistry in order to better achieve the goal of reducing or preventing pollution. And compared with other countries, green chemistry is particularly important in China. Developing green chemistry and technology, optimizing industrial structure, and realizing efficient and clean production have always been the goal of China's chemical industry. Through media reports, I know that as the 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the parties, all countries have proposed emission reduction commitments, and that there are actually a lot of technologies available for net zero targets and just need to be developed more quickly. It was also the summit that made me see the potential of battery storage systems, because without energy storage systems, renewable energy cannot be scaled up. So I will pay more attention to related research. And my actions to mitigate climate change, including reuse shopping bags and carry a cloth bag when shopping, which can save energy and avoid garbage. And I usually buy fresh rather than frozen food, which uses 10 times as much energy as the non-frozen food. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Zihan, thank you very much. And absolutely, there's a lot of technology out there, a lot of technology has been developed, and it's great that science will provide a solution to support climate change. And thank you for your insights into eating fresh food and reusing your shopping bags. Thank you very much, Zihan.
Yeah, thank you.
Over to Maria now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Maria Matthew, and I'm from, and my hometown is India. Why I chose this course in green chemistry is that from my previous academic and industrial experiences, I've seen the impact of waste as well as chemicals that we produce from our home or our labs or the industries. And I chose this course with the belief of broadening my knowledge in the green chemistry techniques. And I believe I will be able to do my small part for a sustainable environment. Speaking of COP26, I feel it is the need of the hour that the world leaders as well as us address the address the impact of global warming, climate change, and has impact of global warming and climate change has on our Earth, and the need to control it. I'm sure we have experienced more the impact. We have experienced the climate change, the impact of climate change more than throughout the past decade, more than our parents or grandparents has experienced it. And let it be it wildfires or rising temperatures, the impact is really big not to notice. And as I mentioned, I'm from India, and my state is Kerala. It's the southernmost part of India, and because of this climate change and the rising ocean levels, my state has been experiencing catastrophic floods for the past 3 years from 2018, and it has taken a toll on our agriculture, our economy, as well as the morale of the people. Like people have lost morale to leave. Like they don't want to work anymore. Like the floods will destroy everything anyways. And on top of that, my state, the South India has been seeing rising temperature up to 40 degrees Celsius in summers and erratic rainfalls throughout the year, and it's destroying all our landscapes and everything. And since COP26 has brought all the leaders together, I think we should, the leaders as well as us should prevent further destruction to the earth and do our best to rely on more sustainable and environmental friendly methods and give our future generation a livable earth. And considering my individual actions, I'm far from perfect, but I try to walk or bike, and I try not to waste my food. And I would also like to end my talk by quoting Mahatma Gandhi. Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs and not every man's greed. So let's not be greedy and live a sustainable life. Thank you.
Maria, thank you very much. Absolutely, it's the need of the hour. And yes, in southern India, in Kerala, extreme weather patterns from extreme temperature to flooding is now it's a regular occurrence. So we need to change and act now and not tomorrow. And thank you for your quote from Mahatma Gandhi. It's a very, very profound quote as well. Over to James Metcalf for your views.
Hi. So my name's James. I'm from Newcastle in the northeast of England. So thinking about why I chose the Green Chemistry Masters and specifically at York. So I think I had quite a different experience as an undergrad to a lot of the other UK chemistry students, and especially to someone like Matthew, in that I went to the University of Nottingham, where there is a really, really big focus on green chemistry, quite similar to how there is at York. But I think the main reason I chose to move to do my master's rather than just staying there, which I could have done, is just to do with seeking sort of more diverse opinions and just a wider range of views on things. So I had a lot of green chemistry teaching throughout my degree at Nottingham. And what I started to realize, especially towards the end, is that the academics, and this happens in every department, it's not a criticism, but they've been working together for a long time. They work very closely on a lot of things and they share a lot of views, they share a lot of research interests. And I just thought it would be interesting to come to somewhere like York and just see what's happening in other departments. So for example, in Nottingham, there was a lot of emphasis on sort of synthesis of fine chemicals, industrial continuous flow things to make pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. Whereas in York, something that's been quite interesting to me is the big emphasis on stuff like waste valorization, biorefining, more sort of bulk chemicals type stuff. And the other thing I found really, really refreshing since I've been here is just the cohort, the set of students is much, much more varied than it was in Nottingham, where we'd all done exactly the same course, taught by the same people. Here we have people from all over the world. We have people who've worked as chemical engineers, doing analytical stuff in labs, all sorts. We have teachers. It's just, you get a much broader set of opinions from people that way. So thinking about COP26, I think a lot of people have talked about what happens in the conference, the decisions that are being made, the announcements, countries signing things or not, and all of this. But I think a big secondary effect of something like COP26 is just the raising of awareness. And I think specifically, people have always been, or at least recently, have become very, very aware of climate-related issues. But I think people seem to be becoming aware of much more detailed stuff than they previously have been. Issues like specific ways of generating power, things like the conflict between development and greenness, like other people have talked about. And I think COP26 is also really starting to provide a focal point for people to think about what they think about stuff, become more informed, and start to hold leaders and industry people to account and make their own voices heard. So I'm a lot like a lot of the other people. I've become very into like little things you can do to change, to help mitigate climate change. Something I've gotten quite excited about recently is LED light bulbs. To summarize, because they're very, very cheap, they have a much lower material cost than sort of traditional light bulbs or sort of energy saving traditional light bulbs. And they have very, very low power consumption. And also you can get them to like change color and stuff, which is pretty sick. And they last for about 10 years. So they're much, much more efficient use of resources, and it's a very, very easy change to make. So yeah, that's everything from me.
James, thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. It's, I think all of us should always experience a wide range of views. And just to say that the green and sustainable chemistry community in the UK we all talk to each other, and every department is excellent, whether it's York or Nottingham. We all have our own specialities. And good, yeah, it's good to hear your views on, yeah, the leaders need to be accountable for their actions now. So thank you for that, and thank you for moving to LEDs as well. Thank you, James. Moving over to Lisette now.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to share this space with all of you in which our voice could make this noise with positive purpose. My name is Lisette Moreno. I am from Mexico. Currently, I'm studying my master in green chemistry and sustainable industrial technology at the US University. I have many reasons to explain why I select this course. First of all, my family is producer of fruits and vegetables in Guerrero state, that it's an state of Mexico. In these fields, we have tried to implement new practices in which the sustainability and take care about the natural resources that we have as a priority. I have been interested in the utilization of coffee bio-wastes and application of chemical bioprocesses to make biodegradable products, for example, using raw material. Furthermore, Green chemistry is aligned with this goal and brings me the opportunity to work in laboratory, experiment, and construct blocks, molecules of high value to be applied in industrial things, considering these green metrics tools that we are learning about. As younger people, we must work to deliver good and sustainable solutions for our today challenge. COP26, for example, is a great opportunity to inspire each other to protect our planet and in order to have more resilient future. One of the goals of this event is to urgently adapt to protect communities and natural habitats. As I mentioned before, my family background is from this kind of communities rich in natural resources. For that reason, we should protect and restore habitats, making valuable plans to achieve it. The environmental protection begins from our house. In my case, for example, I have implemented solar panels in my home to use the solar energy as electricity. Moreover, we collect the pluvial water to satisfy the water consumption. These kind of solutions are simple. Each of us, we have the opportunity to implement this kind of things. And yeah, it's all in our hands. We have the possibility to create great changes. Thank you so much.
Lisa, thank you for your views from Mexico, and obviously you are practicing some green chemistry, coming from an area where you protect your natural resources. And lovely to hear about use of solar panels for electricity, but also water harvesting as well. So thank you, Lisef.
Thank you.
Moving to Arinze Chukwu. Arinze, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I am Ngoka Arinze Chukwu from the eastern part of Nigeria. I think I'm the only one from Africa. Okay, why I chose green chemistry is this. I come from a continent that actually contribute 4% of the greenhouse gas emission. Outside, Nigeria is the second country outside Egypt that actually contribute towards this greenhouse gas emission. And of course, in my country, we have a lot of deforestation issues, environmental pollutions that have actually led to drought in the northern part of Nigeria. Then equally in the southern part of Nigeria, we have the excess heat, increasing rainfall, making people actually to live in abject poverty. These have led me to actually diversify into looking forward into a more sustainable field of chemistry other than the traditional method of chemistry. And that was why I chose green chemistry. Okay, now my own thought about the COP26. Yes, COP26 should be a collective effort whereby all countries, world leaders will come together to actually prefer a solution towards this crisis. Talking about this COP26, yes, preferring solutions without having a political will amounts to nothing. Thank God the world leaders are actually here in Glasgow deliberating about this COP26. I think it will go a long way. And equally in my own country, Nigeria, I believe that the federal government of Nigeria actually sent their delegation to COP26 for us to actually know how to minimize this waste. Because I come from a country whereby we solely rely on oil and gas. Most industries power their plants using coal. So we actually need to diversify into making use of greener methods, using hydrogen-powered vehicles, electric vehicles other than the fossil vehicles that are being used in my own home country. So I believe, and equally for this country, for these companies to actually switch over to a greener way of powering their plants other than using coal. So I think this COP26 is a better avenue. In fact, it is fantastic. It is fantastic. Now, what is my own, how I normally make, in fact, the way I make my difference, I try to use paper bags going for my shopping. I equally try to eat less meat. In fact, to shock you, most of my washings, I do wash my clothes with my hands, despite having a washing machine in my house. I try to wash and spread outside. I try to minimize my energy consumption. That's how I've been living to make a difference and to save our planet. Thank you.
Arinze, thank you very much. Really interesting to hear the situation in Nigeria, obviously an oil and gas rich country, but also just to listen about deforestation in the north, and then you have excess heat and rainfall in the south, and that's leading to abject poverty. Absolutely collective effort, as you've said, and yes, interesting to hear about your personal lifestyle, paper bags, eating less meat and washing by hands. And just to make you happy that you're not the only person from Africa, I was born in Kenya, in Nairobi. So there's two of us in the audience. So thank you, Arinze. Moving on to William Ogle.
Hi, I'm William Ogle, and I'm from Newcastle in the northeast of England. So in 2019, my brother and I went on holiday together, traveling across Canada. A significant portion of our holiday was spent in the Rocky Mountains of Alberta. And when we arrived, it was immediately obvious to us that the place was teeming with wildlife and natural beauty. While seeing the vast array of animals, mountains, lakes was amazing, it was also very saddening to see how far back the glaciers had retreated. At the Athabasca Glacier, it was particularly prominent, with 20 meters of horizontal ice being lost each year, and a total retreat of 1.75 kilometers since the mid-1800s. My mum also went on a very similar trip when she was younger. So having statistical data, anecdotal stories, and having seen the glaciers for myself, it really hit home at how much damage we're doing to the planet. So this is what inspired me to take the course in green chemistry. By investing further study into green chemistry, hopefully I can make a difference, however small, to helping the world recover from the climate crisis. I'm also trying to make more immediate contributions, such as trying to reduce my meat consumption and walking, etc., like other people have said. So what does COP26 mean? It's delivered a new sense of urgency that was desperately needed in the battle with the climate crisis. By setting new ambitious targets, such as the 2030 emissions targets, it will help to accelerate government, industry, and civil society towards much needed carbon net neutrality. It's also very positive to see the range and diversity of the targets being set forth at COP26. They're not just limited to mitigating the damage to the atmosphere, but also to protect and restore the damage to the habitats and ecosystems that have led to vast biodiversity loss due to human activities. So what does COP26 mean to me? It gives me hope that the world leaders are breaking down borders and finally coming together to combat climate crisis, and that hopefully my kids get the chance to see the mountains, lakes and wildlife and glaciers that my mother, brother and I have been lucky enough to experience. Thank you.
William, thank you very much. It's you know, seeing the damage that's caused, that's more than enough evidence. And in your story, you know, you've 2 generations have seen the damage that's been caused to the glaciers, and let's hope the 3rd generation doesn't see the same damage as you've seen and your parents have seen. And absolutely, there is this new sense of urgency that we're all committed to. So, Will, thank you for your thoughts. Moving over to Alexander Owens.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex and I am from London. And the main reason why I wanted to join this course was because during my undergraduate degree, what really piqued my interest in sustainability and green chemistry was learning about the principles of green chemistry and seeing how that could be applied through industrial processes such as of chiral amines and so forth. And I wanted to learn further about that, which sort of the importance and extreme need for such processes, which attracted me to the Green Chemistry and Sustainable Industrial Technology Masters at York University. And also understanding how for real change, it's not only just about the chemistry, it's sort of a constantly moving mechanism of different parts, which I'm learning about. And that is sort of exemplified in COP26, which is seeing how today Barack Obama has sort of pledged about the 1.5 degree sort of ceiling for all countries. And what it all means to me is that it's very important because it is all it's the start of the change and the momentum has to be maintained. Otherwise, it will just be sort of a blip in the whole grand scheme of things. And this has to be maintained and controlled through all countries. And lastly, by me trying to mitigate my own climate change, like many of my colleagues, I walk or take my bike everywhere in York. And also I try and be very minimal with my energy usage and so forth. Thank you very much.
Alex, thank you very much. Absolutely, I totally agree that we need to maintain the momentum. And in a way, it's a bit like green chemistry. Green chemistry never stops. Green chemistry subject will continue to grow, as will the importance of sustainability if we are to achieve or limit global temperature rise to within 1.5 degrees centigrade. Thank you for that, Alex. And now moving on to Harry Oxford.
Hello, everyone. My name is Harry Oxford. I'm from London, England, in the UK. And like everybody else, I'm an MSc student on the Green Chemistry course at York University. Prior to this, I was actually a teacher of chemistry from ages 11 up to 18 and did that for about 5 years. It sounds like a cliche, but like most teachers, my obvious goals were to make a difference to young people. I wanted to inspire them, to provide them with better life chances. And part of that involved like sort of teaching a massively diverse curriculum, not just things in chemistry, but the topics in particular, I always found myself coming back to, lingering on, putting the most emphasis on, were those that were concerned with our environment, our planet, especially when it was linked to chemistry. Now, I remember in particular teaching the 12 principles for the first time to an A-level class. This was when I was sort of very new to teaching. And I remember asking like another colleague of mine about them, about like methods for teaching them. And I remember they told me that the 12 principles aren't important. And Avtar, please don't hate me for saying this, he was absolutely right. And not in the context of they aren't important globally, but he just meant that they weren't important for the students to know for the exam. And he was 100% correct. They just needed to be aware of them. And there was no real application for them, and they were just sort of shoehorned in. And that's kind of a sad thing, and something which personally I really think needs to change. I realized, in fact, as I sort of progressed through my teaching career, that this was something that was important, something that I was going to need to put more emphasis on, something that I needed to get them thinking about and weaving into all of the chemistry they're doing, because sitting right in front of me there were our future researchers, future chemists, future doctors, and it's something that you should all really be having in the back of their minds. But by the end of my 5 years of teaching, I knew that it wasn't going to be enough for me anymore, and I wanted to look at other ways I could make changes. Eventually I moved to York. I saw this program in green chemistry and I knew that this is the exact kind of thing I was looking for. So I applied here. I've been enjoying it ever since. And to me, green chemistry isn't just some niche branch of chemistry that, only our cohort is ever going to think about, but it's chemistry for all chemists. And it's something we should all be thinking about and something we should all be incorporating in any aspect of chemistry. And what we're doing right now, what we're learning right now, that's going to be the future of the industry. And it's one of the main reasons I'm here. And whilst we're all trying to make a sort of difference in our own small ways, it's also hugely important to make changes in sort of larger scales. And that's what's happening at COP26. It's the chance for larger scale change. To me, it's a historic and globally significant event like we've never had before. Many people are labeling it as a sort of last chance, but I like to think of it as a start to global cooperation on a scale that has been previously lacking. Perhaps slightly controversial, but for me, COP26 isn't necessarily the most important part. Right now, we get to hear the promises and we get to hear the pledges from all the different countries. There's a lot of debate, a lot of scrutiny about whether it's enough. Are the right countries making the right pledges? Specifically, are enough countries making enough pledges towards these goals that we're setting out? But what we need to remember is that the most important part isn't the COP26 itself, but what comes after COP26. We need to try and remember the promises that have been made, the pledges that our country have made specifically. And we need to hold our respective governments accountable to those promises and to those pledges and make sure they don't forget what they've said that they will do. And this is going to ensure that they meet those targets. COP26 is just the beginning of the process, really. And for me, it's the most important part, and only time will tell whether those things will be achieved, though I'm going to try and choose to stay optimistic that we will achieve them. Earlier, I mentioned that we like to help our environment in our own way on our own smaller scale too. And something that I've been doing for the last couple of years is to scrutinize my own lifestyle. I've had a look at seeing where I can limit or reduce waste in general. So for example, right now, I use packageless soaps and shampoos. So you can get these in stores, or at least ones with very limited packaging, ones that just have very simple cardboard recyclable packaging, not ones that are contained in like large plastic bottles and things like that. And instead of using cotton pads, I use reusable washable bamboo-based pads instead. I've also switched from using disposable razors or electric razors to using a manually replaceable blade, which can then be, the blades can be cleaned, stored, and then recycled. Companies like Gillette will actually send you like a little baggie that you can put those in and then send them back to them so they can recycle them. And since starting the course now, I've actually begun to scrutinize the actual ingredient list of the products I'm using. Ask myself, how is this made on a chemical level, and what other options are available out there for me? Is there some sort of alternative I could be using instead? And that's something I hope we could probably all start doing by the end of the course. Thank you very much.
Harry, thank you very much, and really interesting journey as a teacher, leaving the teaching profession to increase your knowledge base and then spreading the word. I think you said something really profound, as did Matthew earlier on, Matthew Cullen, in terms of chemistry for all chemists. Green chemistry is not just a fashion; it should be there for everyone. And I'm glad that COP26 is not the last chance that we have, obviously, but the starting point of something new, but something that's also accountable. So what comes after was a really, really good point, and really interesting ideas about your lifestyle with respect to packaging and your shaving habits and personal hygiene habits as well. So thank you for those insights. Moving on to Thomas Sibile.
Thank you. Hello, so my name's Thomas. So I also have two homes. I have a home in the north of Italy and then a home here in the UK in Bristol. So the reason I chose the green chemistry course was basically my journey throughout my undergraduate degree. During my undergraduate degree studying chemistry, I was privileged enough that I had working experiences throughout the world. I was able to work in Kenya, in the Tsavo National Park. I was able to work in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and I was also able to work in the Maldives, in the South Ariatol. And a common theme with all these places were that they were like places with rich biodiversity and that work in tandem with nature. But unfortunately, while I was there was a very common theme, which everyone was basically telling me that everyone was just saying, "Oh, you should have seen this place 10 years ago. It was so much better." And this is obviously due to environmental degradation and pollution. So this really pushed me to wanting to use my wits of like knowledge in chemistry and see whether I could apply them in such a way to make a difference in the world. And the green chemistry course provided at York was the perfect chance. So moving on to COP26. Like, as I said, so I'm quite passionate about biodiversity, just like Will. So I do hope that within this conference that they do actually, the leaders of the nations actually do keep their word and like do make some let's say cutthroat decisions in order to ensure that the plans that they did have are still in play. Obviously, from the 2015 in Paris, there was the 1.5 degrees C, which unfortunately at the moment we're not hitting the targets that are required for it to work in 2030. So I do really hope that the nations do come together to find a solution for it. However, even saying that, I do appreciate what James said earlier about the fact of COP26 also being an opportunity for just raising awareness. And it's incredible to see that there's so many sectors and so many areas where there can be some sort of environmental sustainability or some sort of like greenness. Quite hilariously and quite funny, I was reading articles by BBC saying that in honor of COP26, there's actual dance clubs in Glasgow that are going to adopt some body heat technology to capture the heat made by people dancing in order to reduce CO2 emissions, which I thought was incredible and weird. But it just shows that literally anything can be tweaked to make it just more green. So I do hope that just proves that there's literally anyone can do anything in order to improve the planet. As for me, on a smaller scale, I do try to be as minimalistic as possible. I will reuse. I will never buy any plastic bags. I will just have my one reusable one when going shopping. I try to avoid as much packaged products as possible. I do donate my clothes, and I try to also buy secondhand clothing rather than buying like just new ones. In the Maldives, I was able to participate in a coral restoration project where where we actually went diving and gluing corals to the reefs in order to revitalize the reefs, which was quite interesting. So hopefully by just keep doing this stuff, I can hopefully make a difference. So yeah, thank you.
Thomas, thank you very much. And again, just to pick up on a really profound statement that you've made, is you should have seen this place 10 years earlier. things are changing in the wrong direction. Unfortunately, there is this huge loss of biodiversity, but also picking up on something profound that you've said in a positive way, in the sense that anyone can do anything to improve this planet, and it's these small actions. And again, thank you for sharing your thoughts, and again the importance of textile recycling as well, and that's also recycling of clothes rather than this sort of single-use textiles or single-use clothing. Thank you very much, Thomas. Moving on to Claire Vassallo.
Hi, I'm Claire. I'm from Manchester in the north of England. One of the reasons why I am doing a course in green chemistry is that I want to try and have a proactive approach in reducing people's impacts on the environment. I did a placement in a pharmaceutical company, and we used a lot of solvent to do all the analysis. So I just want to try and get a more sustainable approach and getting reducing the amount of solvent or greener solvents. Another aspect is that the amount of food that we waste. A lot of groceries are being thrown away or not going to the shelves before the consumers can get them, whether it's because they're slightly misshapen or not the right colour. So I want to try and use those products before they go into landfill, whether it's biofuel or like my project's using spent coffee waste to as a replacement of palm oil. With regards to COP26, it's a small step in the right direction. However, if everyone does what they are saying they're going to do, we're still going to end up having a 2.7 degrees Celsius rise. So there is still a great deal to be done, but with the aspects like the Earthshot Prize, everyone on this course, there is still great potential to be done. Some things that I'm going to be trying to do to reduce my impact is like using reusable face masks, having shampoo and conditioner bars, buying in bulk instead of having several little bottles of Fairy liquid, use 5-litre bottles. Even though I've got a driving license, I haven't driven in 3 years. I've been mainly walking or catching public transport. And instead of using the tumble dryer, I've been hanging my clothes to air dry as well. So it's mainly doing little things rather than trying to promise to do big things, but not achieving them. Yeah, and that's all that for me.
Claire, thank you very much. And interesting that having worked in industry, you've possibly you have at first hand seen the use of solvents or the excessive use of solvents, but also nice to hear about food waste and how you want to reduce food waste. And obviously there's still a lot more to be done. Absolutely, Earthshot Prize is a really important prize, and personally I'd be interested to see the impact that the winners this year will have made in 3 or 5 years' time. That'd be really interesting. And interesting sort of bulk buying. That's certainly a way forward, as is air drying of clothes as well. So not everything needs to go in a tumble dryer, for example. So Claire, thank you for that. Moving over to Shu Wang.
Hi everyone, my name is Xu Wang, and I'm come from China. And first part, I will use Chinese to give you some introduce and the reason why I chose green chemistry. And second part, I will use English to give you a conclusion. So first one, 大家好，我叫王旭，我来自中国天津市。天津市是一座海边城市，它有着港口，同样有着许多的化工企业 ，chemistry companies。所以我对化工就有一个很大的兴趣，因为我知道生活中的方方面面都离不开化工企业。小到我们的生活用品， 大到我们的楼房建筑以及交通，这些都与化学有着很大的关系。随着学习的深入，我也发现就是化学是一个非常重要的学科。从人类发展到今天来看，生活中的一切都与化学的研究、化工发展息息相关。所以，我在大学也选择了应用化学这一专业。在接下来的就是我在学习过程中，同样发现了化学工业对环境它有一定的影响，特别是一些不友好的现象。华北地区的雾霾就是一个体现。所以在我选择研究生课程的时候，我对绿色化学这一专业也产生了很大的兴趣，因为我想知道怎样才能够使用绿色化学的理念，对我们的生活，进行一个改善，在提高生活发展的同时，也要去改善一下我们的生活环境，这是一个非常重要的事，因为放眼过去，化学是一个非常重要的因素，在我们的人类发展过程中。放眼于将来，我们就需要去坚持、去认识，将绿色化学的理念落实到每一步。这是至关重要的。在我看来，绿色化学它不仅仅是为了改善我们的生活环境，同样也是人类文明去延续的一个必要的一个过程。因此，我认为绿色化学不仅仅是关乎到我们的生活，同样是关乎到全人类的发展，全人类社会的发展。所以绿色化学是我非常感兴趣的。再一点就是我在现在不仅仅是去关注一些理论，同样也是将眼光放眼到现在的生活，生活中的方方面面都离不开这些。比如我的研究项目在这一学年中，我选择了用绿色方式去生产液晶屏 （liquid crystal），所以这也是我在这一学年我非常想去研究的，也是非常希望自己能够学好的一部分。谢谢大家。So second part, I will give you some English conclusion. Here are some reasons why I'm interested in chemistry and green chemistry, because chemistry is not only important from the history to our life today, but also important to our human and society development to the future. So and here are some reasons. And I think green chemistry is not only important to our life, not just our life, but also to the human society development in the future. So that's all. Thank you.
Shuang, thank you. Can you perhaps translate what is the one change that you are making?
Okay, one change I'm making, in kitchen, I will focus on the food waste and something we can reuse, such as the plastic cookers or something. I will not throw them away, but also keep clean them and reuse them, to save the things like that. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Shu, and thanks for the translation. I think it's a very important skill to have, being bilingual. I think that's really good. I think I picked up something about liquid crystals, but that's because I know you're doing a project on liquid crystals. Good, thank you, Shu. Moving over to Yuki.
Hello everyone, I'm Yuke Wu from China. The reason why I choose this major is because that I have do my best to help our country or the world be better. I want the world should have the better environment and to protect the earth. Where in China the popularity is very high, so we will have more rubbish, more waste air and water in China in one day. And since 2012, the President Xi have paid his attention on the environment as the first time, and for these 10 years, the government in China has published a lot of policies to try to improve the environment in China. And this, it did happen. And we're in China, in my hometown, I see the environment has changed a lot. Which is very good for our health and for our daily life. So I think that is quite very important. But however, in China, this kind of things is not very good, because people may not know many ways to protect the environment. They may release the waste air, but create more wastewater at the same time. So I want to learn some very professional knowledge and to help our country to make the life better. Yeah.
Good, Yuki. Thank you very much. So absolutely, for a better environment, and I'm glad that in your part of China that the environment is getting better. You have cleaner air, less waste, and that's due to government policy. That's really, really pleasing to see. What one change are you making in your personal lifestyle?
Yeah, it's smoke in the city. Yeah, we have a lot of factories in the maybe just beside the city. So every day they will release a lot of waste air, which contains some solid particles, so which pollute the air. So in recent years, the policies have published to release the amount of that kind of gas, and to release the cars on the road, so the air be more cleaner. Yeah.
Good. So just to follow up just a bit on that. So are you now, just personally, are you walking more? Are you using less packaging? Are you generating less waste? What small thing are you doing?
Yes. The first of all is that to depart the rubbish and put them into different bins, because in China, in just several years ago, the policy has been published to depart the rubbish, and every time people will do that.
Okay. Thank you, Yuki. Thank you. It was really, really insightful. Moving over now to Yiling Wang.
Hello, I'm Yang Yiling. I come from China, and why I joined this course is I hadn't come across this course on undergraduate, but I learned environmental chemistry, which gave me a very important information. Is the alternative resource is very important. So I think the green chemistry is it's a good course to tell me how to find the alternative resource. And I also was attracted by the sustainable development in this course name, because in the start of this century, our president Hu proposed the science development. The key point of the science development is sustainable development. So I think, and in these decades, the president she also mentioned to this. So I think the government maybe pay attention to this it's for me, maybe it's easy to find a good job. So for these two aspects, I think this course is good for me. And I also do some change. The easiest one is I try to don't waste food. It sounds really easy but important. As after you say, the small change can make big difference. So I think it's a important way to reduce carbon emission. Yes, and back to the COP26. I saw the more than how can I say? Many governments agree that they will stop cut down trees and protect rainforests by 2030. But I think, I said before, the alternative resources is very important. So I think we have had how can I say? We have to we need some resources to instead of wood. So I think bamboo is a very important resource, and we know the China is a good place to plant bamboo. Yes, that's it.
Thank you, Yiling. Thank you very much, and interesting to hear about the history of the Chinese government from President Hu to President Xi, and this need for sustainable development. And absolutely, you're right. The need for alternative resources. We need to look for alternative resources to avoid the loss of biodiversity. So thank you very much for that. Moving over to Yixin Yu.
Yeah. Hello everyone, I'm Yu Yixin. I'm come from China. I choose this course because I have some basic knowledge of chemistry during my undergraduate studies. With the rapid development of all countries in the world, green chemistry not only has significant social, environmental, and economic benefits, but also can avoid the negative chemistry. This discipline shows Kumai initiative. Green chemistry embodies the interrelationship and the interaction between chemical science, technology, and the society. I think it's a product of the high development of chemical science and the role of the science society in the development of chemical science. And it's also a new stage for chemistry for itself. And the World Meteorological Organization issued in November 2020 noted that atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration are growing again in 2019, and that the international community urgent needs to reduce the emissions to net zero through the radical overhaul of industry, energy, and the transport system. The world is on the brink and abyss in the face of climate emergencies because there is no cooperation among all the countries of the world, and there is a great deal of mistrust between developed and developing country, putting the world at risk for being able to implement the 1.5 temperature counter target. And I think the COP26 is a very important opportunity to stop the devastating effect of the climate changes. At present, the world's biggest environmental problem are the global warming and the various extreme weather event it causes. and I'm associate researcher at the Institute of Atmosphere Physics of Chinese Academy of Science, told the reporters how to effectively avoid future global warming and changes the world in the future. It requires a series of United Nations climate changes conferences, such as COP26, to encourage government to cooperate with each other to plan a better future for our mankind. Some countries inject some political into the coming COP26, such as China's pledged not to support overseas coal-fired power projects. For ourselves, I think each of us is also closely related to the climate weather, and I have been living a low carbon life to protect our climate. For example, I always go to our school by walking instead of taking a bus to reduce carbon emissions. Yeah, that's all.
Yixin, thank you very much. And it was nice to hear you say that we need this interrelationship between science, society, and the environment. I think that's really, really important. And also interesting to hear your thoughts that this mistrust between nations, and we need to work together rather than always trying to find faults in another country. So Yixin, thank you very much for that. Thank you. Over to Meng Meng.
Hi everyone, my name is Meng Zhou, come from China. And when I saw this major, the first things that attached me was the course was certified by the Royal Society of Chemistry. In this way, my professionalism would be more recognized by the future employers and would help me find a better job. And second, I took a look at the course introduction and learned that the green chemistry is mainly about how to help deal with the industrial changes faced by the increased demand for sustainable products and processes. The concept of the sustainable chemistry developed is brand new for me. In the field, I never thought that what I have learned could lead the industry and the environment in which we live in a new era, and which make me feel excited, and I'm so willing to join this part. And why COP26 is so important to me? First of all, the COP26 is the largest and the most significant conference after the Paris Climate Conference. But the difference between these, the keyword in Paris is promise, while the keyword in Glasgow is action. In this way, the word determination to environment protect will be viewed from many parts and will be viewed all over the world. And secondly, this is the first time that I have come into the contact such a grand conference. When I checked the information, I got the latest news that phase out coal-fired power generation. It reminded me of the knowledge point mentioned in the class, carbon dioxide emission, and the temperature of the Earth's temperature rise, and so on. And that moment, I understand that what I learned was never only in the books. The feeling was wonderful, and I think this is the meaning of the COP26 to me. The knowledge learned in school is so closely related to the latest development in society. By the way, in order to protect the environment, China has pronounced that it will no longer build a new overseas coal power project, which made me so proud. And for some environmental protection action I have done myself, garbage sorting is the most basic. For example, kitchen waste and the recycle garbage like the cups and glasses will be separated and put into the different trash bin. And the second thing, I went to the supermarket to buy some things. I just use my old bag instead of to buy some new plastic bag again and again. Finally, I told my family about the environment issue I have learned now, and I hope that they can also pay attention to the environment. Just like Avtar said before, all small things we do in daily life can make a big change. And I want to use some lyric from Michael Jackson to finish my speak. Here's the world making better space for you and for me and the entire human race. They are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. Thank you.
Wow, Meng Meng, that was an excellent way to finish. Really, again, some really profound statements that you've made. I think what resonates with me is this sort of from Paris, where the buzzword was promise, all the way to Glasgow, where now it's action, the time for action. And it's good that you're also now beginning to spread the word when you talk to your family about the importance of climate change. And good to hear about recycling and your reuse of bags. I think that's really, really good. And we love to hear more from you. Yeah, we look forward to your next song. We should probably have it at our end of year party. Yeah.
Thank you.
And finally to Xinyu. Xinyu, thank you for waiting. You are our final speaker for the day.
Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm everyone. My name is Xingyu, and I'm from China. As for why I choose green chemistry, first of all, this major is related to my undergraduate major. Secondly, before applying, I have a great interest in teaching modules, and green chemistry related knowledge. For me, the charm of chemistry comes more from the practical operation of chemical experiments. And the following, green chemistry has a clear social needs and certificate and the scientific objectives. As you know, green chemistry has become the current hotspot and frontier of chemical research. But also the 21st century chemical development of an important direction. I hope that through learning green chemistry and the environmental protection related basic theoretical knowledge while spreading the concept of green life to the public. Through COP26, we can clearly understand the current environmental climate and realize the importance of environmental protection. In addition, COP26 has important global implications. Through COP26, a range of measures and policies to address climate change in different countries can be drawn on, and environmental protection will be put in a more prominent position. By far, the best thing I can do to mitigate climate change is to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by walking or taking transport when I go to school or traveling. And another thing, I think when I go shopping, I carry my own bag every time. So that's all. Thank you.
Xinyu, thank you. And absolutely, the importance of green chemistry as a subject is growing. but also the importance of COP26 and the need to protect our environment, and where we can try and reduce CO2 emissions, which we know are a major contributor to global warming. And good to see that you are walking and reusing bags as well. So delegates, thank you very much. It's been really, really exciting to hear what you've had to say. My colleague, Dr. Tom Dugmore, I think is online. Tom, can I invite you to give closing remarks if you're in a position to do so?
Yes, thank you very much, Avtar, and thank you so much to all our speakers. I think one of the first things I'm probably going to be asked is, so Con, before you do the thanks, what have you been doing, Tom? So we'll start with, one of the things I've been really pleased to see is some of the things that I've been hearing people saying, yes, I've been doing this, I've been doing this, are things that myself and a lot of people who've been into sustainability issues I've been doing for quite a while, but we always got looked at for being a bit odd, a bit quirky. You know, I was doing things like making sure the TV was turned off at the wall so we didn't have the standby light turned on. I'd have some friends going, "Oh, Tom, you're obsessive." Until then, I got a £200 electricity rebate bill. It's like, yeah, I don't look so silly all of a sudden, do I? But now all of these things, like, you know, taking your own backpacks along to go do shopping, not using plastic waste. It's really pleasing to see how much more commonplace these are becoming, rather than just niche things that a few people are doing here and there. So that's been really nice to hear. And the other thing that's been great to hear is just all the different perspectives that we've had globally. I personally think one of the biggest strengths of our course is the sheer amount of different countries that we have that contribute to the course, which really allows everyone on the course to get a flavour of what's happening globally, which is, of course, what's been provided today. And, of course, what is also far more evident is how people across the globe are now really starting to experience the effects of climate change much more firsthand. This is becoming far less an issue that's been abstract that we read about in textbooks, and more something that's really becoming to hit home in real terms as well. So something else, of course, that's really brought our minds into focus is, of course, the coronavirus pandemic, which has affected all parts of the globe and has just really reminded us that ultimately the laws of nature, the force of our planet, really don't care for the lines that we've drawn in the sand between us in terms of countries, peoples, cultures, etc. We're all on one planet, and ultimately we've got to learn to share it. And I think this is perhaps one of the most significant things about COP26. Whilst there have been other COP meetings in the past before, I think the difference this time is just how much the eyes of the world really are on the leaders who are making the decisions this time. It's not going to be enough just to say, yes, we have sent our delegates to these COP meetings and we have discussed things. This time, I think the people are really looking and they're really going to want to see that these are now being acted upon. And it's being acted as such a conscious range as well. So even for those of us here who are all on this call, we are all obviously well aware of the parts that we can be doing to play our environments. And with the issue of COP26 now in such global prominence in the press, in coverage, etc., then I think the biggest hope is that far more people will be aware of what is going on, and also not just what the leaders are doing, but what we can all be doing individually as well, as we've all highlighted through the contributions today. So, thank you very much to all our speakers today.
Thank you, Tom, for giving closing remarks. And on that note, just from my side, just a personal thank you to all the speakers. Say today's session is a unique opportunity to listen to your thoughts from a global perspective and a personal perspective. You are 27 change agents influencing COP26. And on that note, thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.